Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Would you please do the roll call?
Jim,
Here.
Donald,
Here.
Philip, John, Chris,
Here.
Marita. Here. Heather. Here.
Okay, do we have any amendments to the agenda for today's meeting? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any amendments to the minutes from the previous meeting? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any public comments that are unrelated to today's agenda items? Please step to the microphone and state your name.
Hello, my name is James Valentine. I'm representing myself. I have a friend, and you'll see on this, and I'll hand this to you guys so you can see, but this was just brought to my attention last night, and I wanted to get in front of you guys that there's some good scammers out there, and he was about to pay this that says planning and zoning, and you guys can take a look at it, and it's like, so if there's any, this one has to do with approval of a, I think a sandwich board or something like that. But if there's approval coming up, maybe, I don't know to remind people like, this is not real and wire transfers to this weird account don't make sense and things like this. I just wanted to bring it to your attention that he handed it to me to then give to you guys, just to put in front. So I'm gonna hand this over to you guys, but just wanted you guys to be aware that they're getting pretty intricate on this, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I sent it to Liz, but I wasn't able to get it sent till like 5 minutes ago. So
Yeah.
anyways, it should come to you guys in an email as well of like what the email actually looks like, and it has her name on it. So yeah, it was, it looked pretty legit, and I'm happy that my friend came to me and asked me if this was a legit thing. So anyhow, there's that paper I wanted to just put in front of the
All right.
public that
Thank
watch
you.
out. Wow.
Yeah. Any further public comments? Hearing none, we have nothing on the consent calendar, so we're moving on to public hearing items. The first public hearing item is a recommendation to the Borough Assembly regarding an application from American Cruise Lines to lease approximately 22,000 square feet of borough tidelands for the purpose of constructing a mooring float at the end of Dock Street. Do we have any public testimony?
Hello, Glo Wallen, your harbor master. I put some words down as requested through the application process, and I'll stand by those. If you have any questions for me, I'm here till 12:30 and can answer any of those things if you want to get into the weeds on some of it. So, but yeah, we support the application. We also have a separate conversation going with American Cruise Line on a jointly planned for project with the borough. So we're just keeping both of these going, moving the project forward either or way it can happen. So.
I do have a question. On page 17 of my packet,
Okay.
it says, if it chooses, the borough may take over management and scheduling of the dock from September 30th to May 1st in each year. If the borough chooses this, it may make no payment to ACL, but will take the full maintenance cost of the dock, except for damage caused by ACL, and will split the revenue it derives from the dock 50-50 with ACL. The one thing that kind of jumped out at me is working on the boat, you see something's gone wrong, but it's like, hey, we're gonna do that in the fall or in the winter. We're gonna address it then, because summers are very busy and we can't lose income at this point in time to do it. So there's a little hiccup there for me.
Yeah, so this is a proposal letter on page 17 that, that American Cruise Line, and Eric is here and so can probably speak to that. They were just, throwing out the options of what if they were allowed the application to go through and build this dock, what they would be willing to offer the borough outside of their use. And I maintain what my comment was, is that, if it's built to user-friendly for us, then maybe we could come up with some kind of a contract in that, and those details would be fleshed out at some point. But moving forward with the application would not mean that these comments that are on page 17 would be cut in stone. So what I mean is that if the facility was built with, things in mind that the harbor could potentially use to offer outside customers, maybe we would come up with a contract after the fact to use the facility. But at the moment, that remains to be seen of how it will be even built. So I don't think that the borough would actually have any use for it.
I have a question. So does the city provide septic services to these docks so these people can pump off into the city septic?
Currently, we have, to the top of the Petro dock, which we call, at the dock street there is sewer there. Past that, no, we do not have a pump out. We are looking at if we would jointly build this together. I would say that that would be one of the number one considerations, because I get a letter yearly that says, hey, how are you coming on that pump out? And I say, well, we don't have one because we're close to the 3 mile. And so, technically we don't have a pump out station. We tell people to go to Wrangell, but we should.
Wouldn't that create revenue for the city?
You bet.
Mhm.
You bet.
Are other cruise ship lines going to be able to use this dock? I mean, they're buying it, they're paying for it, but
That would be up to them. I mean, this is their facility.
this is their thing.
If we allow them to build, and lease the property, they can do whatever they want. I mean, within the,
Yeah, I was just
within the
curious.
zoning
Sure.
regulations.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, if we end up going this route, then I don't know that the borough would have that much
Say,
say.
yeah. Mhm.
After the fact, and we see how it's built, and maybe there would be an opportunity to come back and say, yeah, we could maybe have some kind of a subcontract with you to use the facility when you're not using it. They've left that door open on their letter that you pointed out. They've left that door open, which is really nice. But it remains to be seen on what will actually be built through this. But they are serious about coming, and whether the first conversations moving forward and we build this facility together, or we can't come to that agreement and they go this route, I believe that a facility is going to be built, and I support that because for a lot of reasons. It will enhance the waterfront, it stays within the zoning regulations, it also would help ease other space that we have in the harbor currently being used by this industry. And I think it would benefit the waterfront to have this facility regardless of how it gets built.
Thank you. Do you have any further public testimony? Please step up and state your name.
Bob Martin. First I'll just be here as a Harbor Board Chair. I saw, in your packet, our Harbor Board meeting, I think it was April 3rd, was referenced. And there we talked about more of a public-private partnership agreement. And we generally liked the engineering plan, I think it's referred to as Concept 7 with a 120-foot float. We all seemed to like that idea, but we never came to any conclusions about where the money would come from. And from what I heard, this plan before you came about after that meeting, where people picked up that we were a little bit worried where the money was going to come from. And so they offered to do it themselves, kind of like they had a year ago. And so we didn't really talk about this specific agreement. And so now I will diverge to my personal opinion, where I'm actually for this, but I know another harbor board member who only was for this if it was a public-private partnership where the borough would control the access when American Cruise Lines wasn't using it. So take that for what it's worth. The harbor board hasn't really entirely weighed on this thing right here. Now, as personally, the reason I like it is because there's no money coming out of the borough, but that's kind of outside of what we talk about here. But I do note that in their April 18th letter, they say, we would be happy to incorporate the following into a lease agreement with the borough. So there is some power in that lease agreement to control how it gets used. And I do support this specific plan. I think between that control they're offering to give us through a lease agreement and just between the inherent limitations of the small dock and small cruise ship tourism, there's only so much they could do off that one dock to overwhelm our town with tourists. So I'm just not worried about it. So thanks.
Thank you. Do you have any further public testimony?
Mr. Chairman, there's someone online. I don't know if they want to say anything or not, but just want to acknowledge, I think they're from American Cruise Lines. Eric.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to discuss this today. I know and certainly appreciate the support we've gotten from Glow. I also would like to echo that we also received the same email that Mr. Valentine referenced. Actually came to our CEO yesterday afternoon. I just wanted to make sure you're aware that he was not the only one that received that. And as it relates to this project, you know, as Glow mentioned, this is an application that we're continuing to move through the process here. Even though the borough has approved funding to partner with us and have a piece of this dock. So we would like to see this continue. But the letter that's referenced in here as well with the question about the management and the schedule, those are, you know, all pieces that we can work through in an actual lease agreement. And we're open. We want to work with the community. We do this all over the country. We want to make sure that, you know, the needs of the community are heard and met in the lease agreement so that this works for everybody. So I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any, and do appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Further testimony? We have a motion?
I move to recommend to the Borough Assembly that the subject property located at the end of Dock Street be approved for lease for the purposes of constructing a mooring float along with the findings of facts as presented.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
I'll start. So I was at the town hall meeting. This is really loud. The town hall meeting where it was pretty unanimous that people in town are very much for this. And so I have a little bit of information on it. One, private versus public. Private business can get things done faster than public government enterprise. And so that's probably one of the reasons why they're trying this. I also know that, so I talked to the XO of the Elderberry because that was my concern. And that is the hardest ship. And he is totally says he can navigate it no problem because that was a legitimate concern of mine as one of my other hats. But also the feedback from other businesses that American Cruise Lines, their patrons are very good to our community. They come, they spend money here. They're a United, you know, they're an American company. You know, I won't mention other airline, or excuse me, I won't mention other businesses, but not all of them come and spend money in our town. And so they do take excursions here. They do come and shop in our towns. And so there is definitely an economic benefit to our community to be partners with American Cruise Line. And, you know, I've been watching the Borough Assembly meetings on this too, and talking about seat at table, yada, yada. This is a business, and Glo is absolutely right. The business is going to look out for the business, and like you said, it's all part of the lease agreement, those negotiations. But I think this is a positive thing for our community, and I support it.
Thank you, Jim.
I guess I'd echo a little bit of what Jim's saying. I've talked to a lot of these tourists off of ACL, and they're definitely the type of ones we want here. As a couple of you can attest, they're willing to go on little tours and whatever. Overwhelmingly, I'm hearing people in support of this, but like we've already heard, with the thought in mind that there was going to be mixed use. Totally understand that ACL would use it during that peak time, but and a lot of my questions have just been answered too, that's part of negotiations later. I'm definitely in favor of, I think this is a good thing for the community, as long as the borough stays involved. It's not just all handed off. I guess what people don't want to see is just a chain across the top of the ramp and it, you know, off limits for 7 months a year, because then, you know, who really owns it? Or so anyway, that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's straightforward, and I think it's up to the Borough Assembly and Glo to negotiate something if that can be done for off-season use, so.
I agree. I agree. I'd like to see the off-season use, and I would like to see something more equitable to the borough for the maintenance and repair costs. Like I said, boat owner, things break down in the summer, but you're busy and you can't address them then, so you address them later, and I wouldn't want those kind of issues to be a burden on the borough.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, let's do the roll call.
Philip, Chris,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Marita,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
Okay, moving on to consideration and application from Zach Peeler, DBA Peeler Alaskan Experience, to place a remote sidewalk sign at 104 North Nordic Drive. Do we have any public testimony? Hearing none. Do we have a motion? Oh,
Guys, yeah.
go ahead.
Well, I just would like to have a sign up there like the rest of the guys, so, to kind of promote maybe going up to Sakine River and, you know, stuff like that, so. It'll be homemade, it'll look good, and, I talked to Dick and he said I could put it in front of, Inga's, but probably it won't be in the way, of course, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my plan. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further testimony? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the application from Peeler's Alaskan Experience for a remote sign at 104 North Nordic Drive, along with findings and conditions of approval as presented.
Second.
Discussion. Looks pretty straightforward to me.
Signs are good.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Heather,
Yes.
Marita, Chris,
Yes.
Donald, Philip,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Okay, any commissioner comments? Okay. Hey, Liz, any staff comments?
Yeah, if anyone else gets one of those emails, could you let me know? It seems like it went to I got yours. It seems like it went to applicants, but if any of you receive it, just to see how widespread it went, that'd be maybe helpful for our IT folks. And then also, next meeting is July 8th, 2025, and we have agenda items, so we will have a meeting. So hopefully there's a quorum.
I'll be here.
I'll be here. I should be here.
Sounds like we'll
Not
have
sure
at
if I'll
least
be here.
4.
At least 4, okay. I may or may not be here.
I'll
So,
be
yeah.
here.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.